All right, hello. Welcome to Tide Risers. I am Lara Holliday,
And I'm Michele Mason.
and we are here to just warmly welcome you to our community and to let you know a little bit about the upcoming experience. I'm the founder and CEO of Tide Risers. It is just such a great pleasure and joy for me that this is like what I get to do for a living is bring this community together. I am so thrilled to do it. I am also an executive coach and really focus on leadership, especially for women and helping women really thrive in their lives and in the workplace. And Michele, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, again, my name is Michele Mason. Thank you so much for being here today. For the past 20 years, I've been a high quality schools education advocate for Black and Brown kids across the country. I believe that every single student should have access to great schools, regardless of their zip code. And I really, through policy and politics, challenge the barriers that have stopped students from reaching their highest potential. I've come to know Tide Risers through Lara, who was my executive coach almost 5-6 years ago. It's been a wonderful community. I'm just really excited that you're here today. And, I am just proud to be a member of Tide Risers, a part of this community that's really, inspiring women to be their best.
Thanks, Michele. Yeah, I love that like our relationship and friendship over the years has had this like amazing, evolution. We started out as coach and client, and ultimately over the years, of course, became friends. You became a part of the founding cohort of Tide Risers, and you all will always hold a special place in my heart because you really came on board with this community when it was just kind of a dream in my head, and I've always appreciated that early support. And then now you are a coach and facilitator for us, and I just love like all the many dimensions of our relationship, and that's one of the things that like is so exciting about Tide Risers is that these relationships grow and evolve over time. So one of the really great things about our community is just that, how these relationships form. They create opportunities for new jobs, for business partnerships, for friendships, for mentoring, for coaching. And that's a big part of why I started this community, is because I think it's very difficult now, especially for women like us, to be able to find the kind of coaching and mentoring that we need. We're living in really unprecedented times, and having a community around us, a community that's really dedicated to sharing resources and uplifting and supporting one another is essential. So the thing that makes our community really special, and I think helps us really hang together, is our leadership principles. We have leadership principles that really guide our work together and really set a high standard for how we relate to each other as professionals and as women. So I just want to very briefly kind of talk you through them to introduce them to you, because we're going to ask that throughout your Tide Risers experience, you really keep these leadership principles front and center in your mind. And especially as you're interacting with other Tide Risers and participating in our programs, that these are really the principles that guide you. So they are abundance, authenticity, courage, and ownership. And I'll explain each one briefly, but hopefully in your Tide Risers experience, you'll have a chance to sort of think and learn more about these as you go. So abundance is really the concept that when we share resources, when we share information, when we share our achievements, we create more for everyone. This is a really great concept for me, as a business owner and as and just as a person, to think about how I can be more abundant and how I can give more abundantly. And time and again, I find that the more abundance I put out into the world, the more I get back. So I love that principle. The next one, authenticity. We talk a lot about authenticity. There's a lot of talk in the world about it these days. So I wanted to just share with you how I look at this from the point of view of the Tide Risers experience. Authenticity is really about nurturing and revealing your own perspective and experience, even when you are embedded in a culture or a social situation that is different to your own. So like being able to show up as your true person, regardless of the context and the circumstances. To do that, you have to do two things. I think one, you have to uncover any hidden assumptions you may have about how you're supposed to live your life. And two, you have to think about redefining your measures of success so that they reflect your values. This is a lot of the work that we do in our Tide Risers programs. I, throw those things out here, but that's a lot of work to take on those two steps. But that's what we talk about. That's what we mean when we're talking about authenticity. Courage is another one. Courage is about having the internal strength to speak your mind, to live your truth, and to engage in conversations that may be challenging. But courage isn't just about speaking. Courage in Tide Risers is also about active listening, having the courage to actively listen to other people, to hear their perspectives, and to try to understand where they're coming from, even when what they're saying may not feel like it agrees with your own perspective. But the great thing about courage is it's like a muscle, and the more we use it, the stronger it gets. So that's something that we work on a lot in Tide Risers. Finally, ownership. Ownership is really about owning the role that you play in the community and being responsible for the impact that you have. It's also about really owning your experience in this work, and knowing that like the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So, I hold those 4 principles in mind whenever they're also my personal leadership principles. So these are my guiding, sort of my guideposts for all of my work and for my personal life as well. And if you ask me on any day, like I'll tell you like which one is, my focus or which one is most challenging for me. It changes from day to day. But Michele, I'd love to hear like what of these 4 principles feels most relevant to you right now?
I have to echo each day, it's a different day, a different principle. Most of the time I'm definitely leaning into like abundance being my birthright and really, really dreaming big. And the notion of just showing up as my authentic self, over the course of the last 2 years, those are the 2 prominent ones. But I think where I am right now and today is just about ownership, and that being intentional about your time and your space, and that you've opted into this community tells me that you are prioritizing yourself as a growing, learning, somebody who wants to be better. And what the reality is, life gets busy. I was just telling Lara how stressed I was last week, and my schedule got all off, but you owe it to yourself to be fully present for these 90-minute sessions, knowing that it's going to be a safe place where you can be vulnerable, you can share your story and be really unapologetic without judgment. And I find that, as women who are in leadership positions, that you don't get to that safe space often, but this is the place where you can come and we call it just say it. Just say it, how you're feeling, honor your truth. Again, women have chosen to be in this space. When we come together, there are just so many motivating and inspiring women. And what you realize is everybody has a story to be told, to be heard. And there's just so many connections. And you realize, my mom always says that leadership is lonely. Like, you actually don't have to be lonely in your leadership when you come to this community, and you can show up as your authentic self. Mm-hmm. And the ownership piece that I'm really embracing in these last 2 years with so many unknowns is really like telling my story, not the story of somebody else or what somebody else thinks I should or should not do, like owning that I am the narrator of Boss Lady Michele Mason's story. And here you get to write the story from your own perspective. And going through this journey together, you really get to just be true to who you are, your authentic values, and really build upon just the tremendous experience and in this community. And you realize you're not alone in this journey, but you definitely have to be intentional about owning this time, this space, and being fully present when we come together.
Yeah, I think, that really resonates with me so much, Michele. I mean, what your mom said about like leadership is lonely. It really, it's tough in any industry, in any kind of work environment. And that's the thing, Tide Risers is made up of women from across just about every industry. And we all find this at some point, that it's just hard to find that kind of peer-to-peer support that you really need. You can't necessarily get it from the people you manage. You can't necessarily get it from the people you report to. You do need something else. And I think that's where coaching can come in really handy, but we need something bigger than that. And that's where community really plays an important role. So yeah, I'm really proud that we've been able to create this environment where we can be our authentic selves, and where women do feel called to that ownership principle, where we show up here to do the work that we need to do to advance ourselves, but also to help others advance as well. So let me just share a couple of tips to help you really get oriented to Tide Risers and make the most out of this opportunity. Our Slack workspace is where our entire community basically comes together online. And that's a great place to get to know people like within your cohort, but also outside of your cohort. So we have a member directory there. Please peruse the directory. First of all, make sure you set up your profile so that you can be found. There's instructions for how to do that, but you can always reach out to us if you need any help. Peruse the members directory, reach out to anybody who you'd like to get to know better. Set Zoom coffee dates, or if you're lucky and you can do this and there's somebody in your local area, set real coffee dates. And really kind of use Slack as a resource. There are also a lot of conversations going on that I love. There's often great conversations in our general channel. We also have all sorts of channels for specific topics like book recommendations, job opportunities, nonprofit management. There's all sorts of stuff. I also have like a garden lovers channel that there are only 5 of us strong in it, but it's one of my favorite channels. So, explore and get to know people. That's a great way to do it. So let's see what else. Oh, one final thing. This probably goes without saying, but everything that we say within Tide Risers stays within Tide Risers. Confidentiality is one of our most important things. It really enables us to be able to create this environment where we can all be vulnerable. And that's completely essential for the learning experience that we all enjoy so much at Tide Risers. So those are my kind of like top tips just for getting started, but always, feel free to reach out to us. We're so glad to have you here with us. Tide Risers has meant so much to me personally. Just having this community of women around me who I can call on for support and for learning, and just having access to this incredible breadth of knowledge and experience is so special. And I really find that the relationships that are built within Tide Risers are the types of relationships that you can rely upon for years and years. So that's what has been really great for me about Tide Risers. I don't know, what's your highlight, Michele?
I was just thinking, I've met so many people through the workshops, through the summit, through the one-on-one coaching, and I have regular accountability partners now. I mean, we may have a regular scheduled check-in or a random check-in here or there, but it's a good, just kind of like soft accountability, real accountability, just I just feel that I can call in. I have a number of people that I can get on the Slack, and if I have a question, I'm going through some challenges at work. Do you guys have expertise in this? Like, there's just a number of experts in the community. And I think what's just so awesome is people are responsive. They respond right away. And because there's just a real, commitment to helping us all like grow and be better. And so I welcome you to the Tide Risers community. You will be expanded, you will be challenged, you'll feel safe, you'll feel authenticated, you'll feel valued, and your voice will like be heard, and you'll know that you're a part of something special every single time. You just have to show up, be present, and give yourself like that time to be fully engaged. And some people are healing, some people are just expanding on their journey. You'll find people across the spectrum, and you can just tap into wherever you are in your journey. I think that's what's so exciting about it, is it's a diverse group of people who are on different phases, stages of writing their story, and you can actually just find the one-off person who you make that like one or two connection points with, and then the rest is history, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very well said. All right. Well, thank you all for spending some time listening to me and Michele. We look forward to seeing you in upcoming sessions. And again, welcome to Tide Risers. We're so thrilled to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.